Hello, friends. How are you today? So, we're going to talk about business development, and we're going to talk about business development in the technical service industry. I've built this 30-year career working with technical doer sellers. I actually consider myself to be a technical doer seller as well. And when I give the advice and counsel to my clients about how do you continue to fill your pipeline, it is about me reminding myself also, because the natural inclination that we have when we get really busy is to be too busy for business development. It happens. It happened to me last fall. I got in the grind of doing the work. I popped up when December came and I thought, oh, holy cow, first part of the year, I don't know where I'm going to find my work. And it was my fault. And then I had to practice what I preach. I had to remind myself to go back to those relationships, to pick them up and carry them along with us. Now, when we get into operations, it gets really more challenging to be able to carry those relationships along with us. So I actually equate it to an analogy back from years ago. And I'm going to put a link in the chat specifically that will take you to a blog post that I wrote about the spinning plates theory. And if you want a little video about what does the spinning plates look like, you can click on that. It's embedded within that blog post as well. But basically, if you would imagine that there are these talented people who can take a series of sticks and then place these plates on them to get them going and spinning at a certain trajectory. The reality is, at some point, if they're not tending to those plates, then the plates will stop spinning and they will fall to the floor. So it's incumbent upon them to be able to go and give each one just a little tap, just a little tending to make sure that they don't hit the floor. The strategy that they have is they don't overcommit themselves to too many plates because they couldn't tend to those plates. I parallel that to business development. We can only, if we are in an operations role, we can only manage a certain number of relationships successfully, going deep into those relationships and staying accountable, intentional, measurable aim to those relationships. So if you are in a technical role, I challenge you to look deep into your pipeline, deep into your client accounts, and really strategize about them in terms of tiering them, tier 1, tier 2, future tier, or no, never. I don't need to stay in touch with them because they're a no-go. We don't like their contract. They don't pay on time, whatever the terms may be, right? And so being very intentional about your time. Because if you strategize and come up with those tiers and you identify those 4 to 6, because if you have a full-time operations role, you can only effectively manage 4 to 6 relationships at any given time. So which 4 to 6 can you go deep in to stay intentional with, and every 6 weeks, or define a time. If you want to talk about that, I can help you define the time. But it's staying in those relationships to be able to keep in front of them, because otherwise, like the plate, the relationship will fall to the floor and break. Somebody else will get a chance to get in there. There's a crack in the door for some other consultant or vendor, and you will have lost all the great work that you would have done specifically with that relationship. So the challenge that I have for you today is, are you telling yourself you are too busy for business development? The reality is we can get it, and I get it. I appreciate that. We can get too busy to manage our relationships. But there are some other strategies that I actually consult with my clients on, specifically around calendar blocking, because you never want to pop up and realize, where am I getting my next work? Where is it coming from? then that way you have a chance to keep the pipeline going and to be less desperate when those other times come about. That's all a strategy, and I have lots of those. So you stay tuned. I will provide more strategies. Business development is one of the things that I love to talk about. So if you want to reach out to me, I'd love to visit with you a little bit more about that. You continue to take good care, and I'll see you soon.